Okay, picture this. You're at a flea market,
Mm-hmm.
just browsing, right? Looking for hidden treasures,
Right.
and you stumble upon a hard drive
Oh.
full of medical records. It sounds crazy, but it actually happened in the Netherlands.
Wow.
Yeah, a software company went bankrupt
Okay.
and didn't wipe their drives properly before getting rid of them.
It's a pretty stark reminder that just hitting delete
Yeah.
doesn't mean the data's gone, you know?
No, not at all.
It's really a security lapse that happens more often than you think.
Way more often, I bet.
And the consequences can be huge.
Exactly. It makes you think twice about all those files we delete, huh?
Absolutely.
I mean, there are ways to erase data securely, like overwriting it multiple times or even physically destroying the drive.
Like smashing it with a hammer or something.
Yeah.
But who actually does that?
Not many people, I guess.
No. And it's not just about deleting data either, is it?
What do you mean?
We leave so much personal information online these days.
Oh, totally.
It's like a digital trail we can't erase.
Right.
It's more important than ever to manage our digital identity.
So what can we do about that?
Well, there are data removal services that can help minimize our digital footprint.
That's good to know.
It's worth looking into.
It's like a digital spring cleaning.
Exactly.
But speaking of digital dangers, let's shift gears to the main topic of this deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to delve into the world of fake updates and the ever-evolving tactics of cybercriminals.
It's a constant battle, for sure.
Researchers at Proofpoint recently discovered two new groups,
Oh, yeah.
TA2726 and TA2727.
Catchy names.
They're using fake update schemes to spread malware.
Sneaky.
So you think you're getting a legitimate update for your browser, but it's actually a trap.
A digital trap.
Yeah, they use something called web injects.
Right.
Basically slipping malicious code into legitimate websites.
So you're on a trusted site, but
Right, but there's hidden danger lurking.
it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly. And these two groups, they've got this whole operation going. TA2726 acts as a middleman, directing traffic to the compromised sites.
Like a malicious air traffic controller.
I like that analogy.
And then TA2727 is the one actually crafting and spreading the malware.
So what kind of malware are we talking about here?
They've been linked to a few nasty families, including Lumastealer, Deerstealer.
Okay.
Oh, and Frittedstealer.
Frittedstealer, huh?
Yeah.
What makes that one so special?
Well, it's specifically designed to target Macs.
Really?
Yeah, and that's becoming more and more common.
So much for the myth of Mac invulnerability.
Right. It's not true no more.
No, it's definitely not.
And Frittedstealer is especially nasty. It can steal everything, from cookies and passwords to
Oh, no.
crypto wallet info and even your Apple Notes.
Wow, that's a lot of sensitive data.
It is.
So how do they actually trick people into downloading this stuff?
Well, it's all about being targeted, you know?
Okay.
They tailor the malware delivery based on your location and device type.
So it's not just random attacks.
No, they're quite strategic.
That's scary.
And the really impressive, or maybe I should say frightening part, is the fake updates look incredibly convincing.
Really?
They perfectly mimic the look and feel of legitimate updates.
So even someone who's pretty tech savvy could fall to this.
Absolutely. They exploit our trust in familiar processes and brands.
It's like a digital wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly.
Now, on top of all that, it turns out AI itself can be weaponized.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other can of worms.
Researchers at the SANS Institute have found malicious AI models disguised as helpful tools.
It's unsettling, right?
Totally unsettling.
We think of AI as this helpful assistant,
Yeah.
but it can be used for harm, too.
So what can these malicious models actually do?
Well, they can steal credentials, manipulate data, even hijack the model itself.
That's terrifying.
Imagine if a malicious AI got into a bank's system.
Don't even get me started.
Chaos.
Absolute chaos.
But there's some good news here.
Okay, tell me.
The SANS Institute has developed a tool called Model Scan.
Model scan.
Yeah, it can detect these hidden threats before they're deployed.
So it's like scanning a file for viruses before you download it.
Exactly.
That's reassuring.
It's becoming essential to scan AI models before you use them, just like any other file.
Make sense?
It's a new world we're living in, isn't it?
It is. Fake updates, spreading malware, malicious AI models.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It feels like the digital landscape is getting more and more treacherous.
It is, and securing AI systems is more complex than traditional security, too.
Oh, how so?
We have to consider things like data poisoning, model stealing, and even
Oh, what?
attacks that manipulate the text prompts given to AI models.
Manipulating text prompts. What does that even mean?
It's called prompt injection, and it's a new type of vulnerability.
Okay.
Basically, attackers can subtly change the instructions given to an AI model
Oh, I
to
see.
make it do something harmful.
So it's like whispering malicious instructions to an AI.
Yeah,
To
kind.
twist its intentions.
And the scary thing is, there's no foolproof way to prevent it yet.
No foolproof way.
It shows how these threats are constantly evolving.
Yeah.
We have to be vigilant and adapt constantly.
It's not just about staying ahead of the curve.
Right.
It's about staying ahead of a curve that's constantly changing shape.
You got it.
So as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, the stakes just get higher.
Definitely.
It makes you wonder, with all these evolving threats, is there even a way to keep up?
It's a challenge, for sure.
It's a constant arms race.
But just like we've adapted to other technological advancements,
Right.
we'll find ways to mitigate these risks. But
Okay.
maybe that's a conversation for another time.
Okay, fair enough. For now, it sounds like we need to be extra cautious about
Definitely.
anything we download or click on.
And aware that even harmless-looking AI tools
Right.
could be hiding something malicious.
You've definitely given me a lot to think about.
Good, good.
Let's delve deeper into these attacks after a quick break.
Okay.
Discuss some strategies for staying safe in this increasingly complex digital world.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
See you soon. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about those fake update attacks and how even tech-savvy people can fall victim.
Yeah, it's scary how convincing they can be.
It really is. So let's dive into some of the tactics these cybercriminals are using. Remember, we mentioned TA2727 and auto IT.
Vaguely. Remind me, what exactly is auto IT?
Well, it's basically a scripting language. Usually it's used for automating tasks in Windows.
Okay, so it's a legitimate tool.
Yes, for sure. System administrators and developers use it all the time. But like any tool, it can be misused.
I see where this is going.
Yep, in the wrong hands, it becomes a weapon. Cybercriminals use auto IT to package malware into standalone executables.
So they're bundling it up, making it look harmless.
Exactly, and it makes the malicious code harder to detect. Security software struggles with it.
Oh, so sneaky.
And it gets even more complicated. They also use a technique called process hollowing.
Okay, now you're just using scary words. What in the world is process hollowing?
Imagine a legitimate program running on your computer, like something you use all the time, a system utility or a trusted app.
Okay, yeah.
Now picture this. Attackers inject their malicious code into that harmless process.
They hijack it.
Exactly. It's like sneaking a virus into a healthy cell.
So instead of creating a new, suspicious process, they're hiding in plain sight.
Precisely. It's a digital Trojan horse.
Makes it pretty hard to detect, I imagine.
Incredibly difficult. The malware is basically camouflaged within the system. Remember Frigid Stealer, the one that targets Macs?
Yeah, scary stuff.
Well, they use process hollowing to deliver that.
So even Macs aren't safe.
No system is truly safe, and as Macs become more popular, they're becoming bigger targets.
A wake-up call for Mac users, I guess.
For sure. No more thinking you're immune just because you use a Mac. Frigid Stealer, it can steal everything. Browser cookies, passwords, even your Apple Notes.
It's unsettling how much we store digitally these days.
It is. It's like our entire lives are on our devices.
Speaking of stealth, you mentioned something about the snake keylogger earlier, something about hiding within .NET processes.
Right. Those are the building blocks of a lot of Windows applications. So it's a pretty common process.
Essential, even.
Exactly. What's interesting about this snake keylogger variant is it targets regsvcs.exe specifically through process hollowing.
Regs VCs, what's that?
It manages the system services. So by targeting that, the keylogger makes itself even harder to detect. Blends right in.
Oh, wow. Clever but creepy.
They use something called DLL injection to achieve this. Think of it like smuggling contraband. It bypasses security checks.
So even experienced security professionals could miss this.
It's a challenge for sure. The deeper we go, the more we see how complex these attacks are becoming. But it doesn't stop there. This keylogger also uses something called a global keyboard hook.
A global keyboard hook, what's that?
It basically records everything you type, every single keystroke.
Wait, seriously? Like a little spy watching everything I do?
Pretty much. That's why good passwords and multi-factor authentication are so important.
Good reminder.
And it doesn't stop at just keystrokes either. The snake keylogger can also target your browser's autofill. Think about all the credit card info and other personal data we store there.
Oh, it really makes you think twice.
Absolutely. Be mindful of what you store online and clean things out regularly.
So are there any tools to help protect us against these kinds of things?
Luckily, yes. Things like the 40 Sandbox, for example.
What does that do?
It uses both static and dynamic analysis to find and analyze these complex threats.
Okay, so it's like having a digital detective constantly looking for suspicious activity.
Yes, exactly. Now, shifting gears for a second, do you remember that Trend Micro article about the Earth Preta APT group?
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't that the one where they used a combination of legitimate and malicious components to avoid detection?
Precisely. They use the Microsoft Application Virtualization Injector to inject their payload into a harmless Windows utility called wait4.exe.
So they were hiding malware within a tool that's already built into Windows.
Exactly. It's like blending in with the crowd. And to add another layer, they used a legitimate installer builder called Setup Factory.
So it looked like a normal software installation?
Precisely. It made it almost impossible for traditional security solutions to pick it up. And to top it off, they even used a decoy PDF document.
A decoy? What for?
To distract victims. While you're busy reading the document, the malware is quietly installing itself.
Ugh, these guys are good. It makes you wonder if it's even safe to download anything anymore.
Well, there are always risks, but we can minimize them by sticking to reputable sources.
Right, it's like that Securus article we talked about, the one about Starry Dobry targeting gamers.
Ah, yes. The cryptominers spread through Trojanized games,
Gamers thought they were getting a free copy of the latest game, but it was a trap.
exploiting their excitement for new releases. The bait and switch, it's a classic.
So they used torrent sites, right?
Yeah. Once the infected game was downloaded, it was game over.
Literally. So what happened then?
The whole infection process was pretty complex. Multiple stages of obfuscation, anti-debugging tricks, resource spoofing. They really went all out.
So even if someone suspected something, it would be hard to figure out what was going on.
Absolutely. Plus, they used DNS over HTTPS to hide their communication.
To cover their tracks.
Exactly. It emphasizes the need for advanced security solutions that can see through these techniques. Traditional methods just don't cut it anymore.
So it's not just about blocking what we already know, but being able to learn and adapt to new, unknown threats.
You hit the nail on the head. Moving from reactive security to a proactive, intelligent approach is key.
Well, this is all definitely a lot to digest.
It is, but don't worry. In the next part, we'll talk about what we can do to protect ourselves and our organizations.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Fake updates, malicious AI, APT groups, using all sorts of sneaky techniques. I don't know about you, but it's a little overwhelming to be honest.
It is a lot to process, yeah. But remember, knowledge is power.
Right.
The more we understand these threats, the better equipped we are to fight them.
So where do we even begin? What can we actually do to protect ourselves?
Well, technology is a big part of it, right?
Yeah, we've talked about tools like 40 Sandbox and Model Scan.
Right, they can help us detect and analyze these threats.
But is technology enough on its own?
It's a good start, but it's not the whole picture.
What else is there?
We can't forget about the human element.
Right, because even with the best security systems,
Exact.
human error can still slip through the cracks.
We're all susceptible to making mistakes.
So education and awareness are crucial,
Absolutely. We need to create a culture of security aware
where everyone understands the risks,
and takes responsibility for their actions online.
especially with all those social engineering tactics out there.
Oh, yeah, those are designed to trig us, to exploit our trust.
Like those fake update hounds we talked about.
Exactly.
Or phishing emails, even those Trojanized games.
They prey on our curiosity, our desire for convenience.
Sometimes even our fear.
If we understand how these tactics work,
Right.
we can be more careful online,
So it's about being mindful, skeptical,
questioning what we see online.
not taking everything at face value.
Exactly. And this applies to organizations as well, not just individuals.
Right, like that whole discussion about shadow AI.
Yeah, where employees might use unauthorized AI tools.
Without realizing the risks.
It could lead to data leaks, security breaches.
So organizations need to set clear policies.
Provide training, make sure everyone understands the potential dangers.
Empower employees to be part of the solution.
Instead of a potential vulnerability.
You know, it's funny how this all circles back to that story about the hard drives at the flea market.
Oh, yeah.
It shows how easily sensitive data can be exposed.
If we're not careful.
And it's a reminder that data security is an ongoing process.
Not a one-time fix.
We have to stay vigilant.
Absolutely. Just like we lock our doors and protect our physical belongings.
We need to be just as careful with our digital lives.
The threats are real and the stakes are high.
But the good news is,
Yes.
we're not powerless.
We can take steps to protect ourselves.
By understanding the tactics, being proactive.
We can make a difference.
So what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this?
Be skeptical, be vigilant, and most importantly, be proactive.
Because the digital landscape is always changing.
The threats are evolving, but
we can stay ahead of the curves.
by staying informed, by questioning what we see online,
By taking steps to protect ourselves.
we can navigate the digital world safely and confidently.
Well said. Well, that brings us to the end of another deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of fake updates, malicious AI, and all those clever cyber criminals.
It's been an enlightening discussion.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay safe out there.
And don't forget to update your antivirus.